Okay, so this is going to be a tutorial on how to prepare for a marathon. Things like Big 20, NEScathlon, Zenith, things like that. Anything where you're going to be practicing for a extended period of time and either have a time limit as to when you can submit your runs, or you just have one race you have to do at the end. That's what this tutorial is for. The first half is all going to be stuff that you do in-game, and the second half is all going to be stuff that you would do outside of the game to help prepare. So first up, we have visual cues, and I'm going to use Super Mario Bros. 2 for all these examples because Super Mario Bros. 2 is a pretty good speed game, and it has examples of just about everything. So at the beginning of 4-1, in any percent, you typically want to be Toad, and you start off by jumping to get instant acceleration, and then you have to grab this guy, because when Toad grabs somebody, he moves faster. The issue is you can't see this guy, and if you wait till you see him, then it can be a little difficult to grab. And so what you do is you find a visual cue. So a visual cue is something that allows you to independently determine when you're supposed to do an action. So even though we're dealing with jumping on the guy, we're not worried about where he is, we're worried about when we're supposed to jump. And so I already know that the visual cue is this block right here. Once I get to this block, that guy will spawn. And so if I pick Toad, and I mash jump to get instant acceleration, and I jump on that block, then I land on him every time. I don't have to worry about timing anything else. I don't have to worry about any RNG. I just have to look at that visual cue, and I jump when I touch it. And I'm not looking at anything else. I'm just staring right at that block, and when Toad's on top of it, then I jump, and I can finish the rest of the stage. And you can find visual cues for just about everything. Most of the time, you're not going to necessarily need a visual cue. So there, I know I can jump at the edge, and nothing's going to hit me, so I can just jump at the edge. But if I wanted to always grab that shy guy, I can look for a visual cue. So maybe if I walk off and if I jump right after that cloud, and there we go. So I can jump right after this cloud, pick up the shy guy, and now I can just slowly go through the stage this way. So jump after the cloud, pick up the shy guy. Now if I jump at the edge, full jump, this isn't good, I fall in this hole. So I can go after this cloud, jump, pick up the shy guy. And so I'm going to make a save state here. And I want to figure out, I can pause so I can hold down B so I can run without throwing him. I want to figure out, when I'm going full speed, where can I jump to where I'm not going to fall down? So I jump at the cloud. Let's do this. Get a better save state here. So I hold down B. If I jump at the cloud, I fall in the hole. If I jump at the edge of the cloud, I land on this. So now I know I can jump at the edge of this cloud and then just jump twice, and I'm going to bounce off the other enemies. And so you can go through an entire stage this way, looking for some sort of visual cue in the background. Sometimes you can use the HUD, like the heads-up display, depending on the game. Sometimes you can use when things disappear. So if you look at the bottom left, you can see that little snow pile ice thing. I can run, and when I'm standing in front of this cloud, I can see on my screen that the snow thing is almost off the screen, like it's touching the edge right now. And so if I watch that and I jump there, I fall right in that hole, so I can move a little bit farther. And once that ice pillar is gone, I land on this pillar. So it's the exact same thing as using the cloud as a visual cue, but I used when something left my screen. And my TV, personally, has a little triangle of pixels right in the very center, and so I can use that as a visual cue as well. So you might be able to find something like on your TV where your AV cables are plugged in. You can see when sprites line up with them, where your volume buttons are, where the logo is on your TV. You can find all sorts of stuff. And this can turn what would normally be something that would require reaction time and constantly adjusting. Like if you've ever seen somebody playing and they're wiggling like this, trying to figure out where they're going, they're not just holding down right and jumping. chances are that they don't know exactly where to jump, and they're just kind of eyeballing it. And if they're eyeballing it like that, they're probably losing time. So that's visual cues. Probably heard of it before, but I hope that was somewhat helpful. For safeties, this is the whale stage. So normally you're Toad here. Sometimes I would pick Peach because Toad has a habit of dying and you lose a lot of time if you die. So being Peach in the stage, you can pick up this potion and you can jump off the whale's tail, but occasionally that happens. You hit the edge and it kind of steals your jump and you fall. So what I found that I could do, let's not get hit there. What I found that I could do is I could land on the very last edge of the tail, or the whale, and I just kind of wiggle a little bit, land on like the butt of the whale, and I jump off of that. And so I'm not losing very much time by doing this, but I'm not going to get hit, I'm not going to have my jump stolen, and then I can make it to the warp. Whereas if I'm trying to get every second out, I have to make sure that I'm landing on everything, and it stole my jump again. I have to make sure that I'm landing on everything. I have to deal with the water fountains. I have to deal with the Sniffit and the Sny Guys. My jump's disappearing. And I don't generally want to do a last second wiggle. I don't want to be guessing as to whether I'm doing well. I don't even know how I got hit there. I can take all of that away for a very minimal time loss just by changing where I'm trying to land. So I slow down for just a few frames, land on the butt, and now I can go in the warp, and I can move on to stage 6. There are lots of safeties like that. Some are really good, some are really bad. But there are all sorts of safeties you can use. Most of the time, a safety is going to cost a little bit of time. If it doesn't, you would just do the safer strat. But sometimes the amount of time that a technique will save will be way more than a safety. And a good example of that is stage 6-2. So if we go into stage 6-2, what you're quote-unquote supposed to do is you're supposed to ride one of these buzzards all the way to the end. And so you can see that this is pretty slow. So I'm just sitting here and just slowly moving on, but someone playing Luigi or someone playing Peach and doing the fast 6-2, they are going way, way faster than I am. So this would be an unacceptable thing for me to do in a marathon, because if I'm doing this, then I'm essentially giving up all this time. This is something that I would need to learn. But maybe it's too inconsistent, and so I want to do a safety, but the one safety that I know of isn't quite there. So what I can do instead, if I can spawn the bird. By the way, this is my visual cue for spawning the bird. I jump here, and I go off over this corner. I can jump, go off the corner, come back, and then the bird is there. So I can take that. I can ride this bird. And now as I'm going through 6-2, I can see that there's a bunch of potential visual cues in the background. There's all these stars up here. So I can stand on the edge of this bird, and I can jump at a star. And so now I can just do the back half of the fast strat. And the back half is way more consistent. So you can see how much faster that is. And this is something I actually did in Big 20 number 15. I did this as a half safety. I could have learned the first half, and I have done the first half in Princess Only speedruns. The Big 2013 goal for Super Mario Bros. 2 was one character only, so I was Peach every stage. And I already knew the strategy, but I couldn't quite get it consistently, and you only get one attempt in a race, so I did a half safety. And one of the advantages of doing safeties and half safeties like this is not only that you have a more consistent time, so you know kind of what your expected time is going to be, but you also save a lot of time in the real world, because I didn't spend a day learning the first half. I just made a judgment call, said, we're going to do the half safety, I will ride the bird in the beginning, I'll jump off the bird at this star visual cue, and I'll do the rest just as the normal fast 6-2 strat. And so I saved a bunch of time, and I could practice other things. For audio cues, if you have ever watched Arcus or the Retro Runner play Ninja Gaiden, you've probably heard audio cues. Arcus sings like the cottage cheese song for stage 3. He has a little song for Lemon Drop. In stage 4-2, I think, with the bridge, like every Ninja Gaiden runner does that. Stage 3-1, Retro Runner has the song where he gets the star, throws the star, grabs the Art of Fire wheel, ends with Bouncy Bouncy. People remember these things, but the runners remember these things because it actually helps them. It creates consistency in their inputs. And so you can listen to the audio in the background, and so you can find visual cues, or audio cues. So playing through this can be a pretty complicated stage to play with Princess. You have to kind of float, and you have to jump off different enemies, and you don't know exactly where to float, because if you just keep jumping and floating, you land in the wrong place. So like now I'm in the sand, now I get hit by a bullet. You have to find the right place to jump. And finding a visual cue for every jump and every landing spot, that can be a little bit mentally taxing. So instead, you can sing a little song. So what I have always done jump off the snake, jump off the snake, jump off the bones, and jump off that guy. Jump off the snake, land in the sand, jump off the bones, and you're through. And that's the first half. Wait, there's 2 snakes. Jump off the second guy, and then that's it. And then I just cut the song off. And so I will sing that to myself as I'm going through this stage, and it creates consistency. I don't have to worry about memorizing the stage as much. It's just a little mnemonic that helps you. Sometimes you can find audio cues, jump, 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 fall, down the pipe. You can find little audio cues in the song in the background as long as the song is consistent with your inputs. And it kind of lets you know that you're on track. This can be very helpful for things like Global Timer. Other times you can find like an audio cue based off of like a pickup sound, or based off of when an enemy like makes a sound, and you can base your input off of that. Buffers. State 9. So buffers are better than visual cues, and they're better than audio cues because it doesn't require any mental thought at all. So for buffers, you are letting the game do the timing for you. So if I grab this vegetable, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, jump, throw. If I have to do something like that, that is prone to error. That's how I used to do this fight. I would just say 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, jump, throw. And if I timed it right, I would hit him, and I would get this vegetable. And you can see I've kind of got the timing in my head, but it's not perfect. Like, I missed it there. I got it twice, missed it once, and now I miss an entire cycle, and now when I throw the vegetable, there's not another vegetable in my hand. It's awful to miss the cycle. So what you do is you find buffers. So for this, I watch for Wart's mouth to close. 1, 2, 3, 4, jump, throw. 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 There, we beat Wart. And buffers take that fight from something that is very dangerous and very scary. Like, you might have 0 lives coming in if you just continue to get all the way back to 7-1. It turns the fight into a joke because I've buffered all the inputs. I don't have to worry about messing up. All I have to do is just watch for the visual cue of when to start the buffers. And so that's Wart's mouth closing, very easy. And then with Peach, and I think Toad as well, you can just tap the A button for a short hop. 1, 2, 3, 4, jump, throw. And there's a little bit of timing at the end. You can actually do a 5 short hop buffer and then jump and instantly throw if you're more comfortable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, throw. And so mine was off because I jumped off the top one, so I had a little bit more lag time there. But you get the idea. And you can combine these things. You can combine the audio cues, the visual cues, the safeties. So if you have no lives and you're like, it's way faster for me to just kill him no matter how slow it is, I'm just going to dodge the bubbles and I'm going to go behind him. And I'll throw when he opens his mouth. That is a legitimate safety for you to learn. If you've got no lives left, no continues left, it'll be the entire game if you have to come back. So having something like this in your back pocket, very good idea, because it doesn't matter how slow you are. It's going to be faster than restarting the entire thing. And this is another one of those times where if you didn't have a visual cue or you didn't have a buffer, how I killed him with Princess this time, you don't really have to worry about messing up all that much. And you get to save all that time you would normally spend practicing this fight. You get to use it on something else. Alright, so that was buffers. So now, prepping for when things go wrong. So in the Big 20, also High-Tech Gambino and Maldite Loki. In Big 20 number 13, this was one of my better games in practice and one of the worst games in the actual event. I lost over a minute and I was sitting with no lives for a long period of time. And the reason why is that 4, 1, 2 here, I jumped up here and I did this once and I got hit and ended up losing a life. And so I had to go again, and I did this, I came back, and I somehow messed up the carpet, and then I died again, and when I died, that bird over here, that was my visual cue that I used. So if you watch what I do here, I pick this guy up, I go down to the bird, I throw, and I would go over this tile here, and I would just mash B. Well, when I died, that bird head, for whatever reason, had disappeared. So it just wasn't there. I don't know why, but I had lost my visual cue, and it messed me up because I had never practiced for anything else. And so I lost a whole bunch of time. If you are going to be playing in a marathon and something works 100% of the time, you're not going to know to practice it. But a good idea would be to practice when things go wrong. Like, you can just choke. So if I'm doing this, I say, I want to get the fast carpet, and I can't do it, something like this happens, like, now I'm in trouble. So what do I do now? I'm now sitting here, and so I can see, can I make it up here? I can, off the Ninja. Now I have a backup. And so, that's a very tight jump. But now I know I have a backup. And I actually didn't know I could do that with Peach. I thought this was a Luigi-only thing during Big 20 number 13. And so the result of that was, when I felt I lost the fast carpet, I was like, well, I don't want to go down here. I don't want to get the key and have to go through this entire area. I just had to take a death and go over. I didn't properly prepare for this specific stage. So finding backups for even things that work 100% of the time is probably a good idea. And now, finding expected value. This is the same save state, but this is going to be the veggie glitch. So in Super Mario Bros. 2, there's something called the veggie glitch, and the veggie glitch is pretty cool. Let's see if I can do it. So there, first try. So you'll notice that she's not holding it above her head, she's just walking with it. And when this happens, you can walk through a door holding the veggie. And so you can take it to the Birdo fight. And you can do something like this. And so that is a way faster fight. It takes several seconds to go through an egg cycle. It's like 4 seconds, I think. And so having a veggie and going through there, you can throw 1, 2, 3, and you can take out Birdo very quickly. Very fast. Now I'm going to show you how you can determine if it's actually a good thing to do, because if I do this and I fail, like, oops, I didn't get it. I lost all that time getting the potion, throwing the potion, entering the door, exiting the door, and now I'm going here, and maybe the egg cycle is different. And so I have to wait for the egg cycle to catch up again, and so there could be a huge time loss. And I know this because I actually did this. And so what I did is I just did one attempt of each, and I just rounded it to make some pretty easy to see numbers. But what you would do to find an expected value of a strategy is you figure out what the average time is going to be when you are not trying at all. So that's the no try column. That's if I just did this. So if I just go straight over without going in the door, without trying to veggie glitch, and I just wait for an egg, and I pick it up, and I throw it, and I do that 2 more times, and I kill Birdo, my average time is going to be 21 seconds for going into the bird door. If I try and I fail, my average time is going to be 25.5 seconds. So this is slower than not trying at all. And success is 16.5. So I'm saving time if I succeed, I'm losing time if I fail. This is pretty normal for most strategies. And deciding whether you want to do the safety or whether you want to do the fast strat can be difficult. So what you do is you try it 10 times and you find your probability. When I did it, I had a success rate of 4 out of 10, so 40% and 60% failure. And you can calculate the expected value by multiplying your time cost times your probability, and you add your time cost times probability for the other attempt. And if I change this back, so the expected value of trying the veggie glitch for me in this instance is 21.9, which is actually worse than not trying at all. So if I was going to be in a marathon that had this game, and I had to decide whether to do that trick, this is how I decide if I'm going to do it. The expected value is slower. Not by much, it's only slower by a second, and gaining a few extra seconds could be good. But it's slower overall. Like, to fix this, I'd have to increase my probability. And I can fudge the numbers here. It's like, well, what if I got 50%? So if I get it half the time, it's just as good as not trying at all. And you can just fudge the numbers and see, like, how successful do you have to be before it's worth it for you. So at 60%, I'm only saving a second. What if I get it 8 times out of 10? So now I'm saving about 3 seconds. 3 second saves about 80% of the time. It's not bad. And so that's my expected value. You can do this for not just tricks, but also, like, what character are you going to play? So I played Peach, even though Toad is faster in Super Mario Bros. 2, and I did this for 2 reasons. 1, I get to save time practicing, because Toad is harder, and 2, Peach was way more consistent than Toad, and so my expected value with Peach was faster, even though my fastest time with Toad was faster than my fastest time with Peach. So this is just one of the ways that you can answer the question of, do I go for it? You don't have to hem and haw over it. You just do it 10 times in a row, and you do the math, and you say, okay, I have a 40% success rate, which means I'm failing at 60% of the time. My expected value is 21.9, and my ignoring it and just doing the normal strategy is 21 seconds. So I'm losing about a second over the course of all of my attempts. While I might save time in the actual race, statistically speaking, I'm not. So my options are practice the trick until I improve my probability of success, or ignore it and then do the safety or not try at all. And this is how you figure that out. Setting goals. Well, let's go back one. There we go. Setting goals. So this is my fake time tracker and practice document, and I actually used this during the Big 20 number 13. So I just had my own little document where I would write down all of the information I had. I would track the different strategies and safeties and things like that for all the different games. And you can see here, one of the first things I did is I ranked all of the video games, all of the goals by how dangerous they were. So Zelda 1 was incredibly dangerous. It was just beat Dungeon 5, and I knew I was going to be going in with a potion to Dungeon 5 and trying to beat it with 3 hearts. And the issue with that is that if you use the potion and then you die, you don't get your potion back. And there's no easy way to get a potion without losing a whole bunch of time. So Zelda 1 went to the top of my list. I knew I was going to have to practice it a lot. I was going to have safeties involved. And I wanted to make sure that I knew how to do it. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. I knew that this was just a giant wall. Like, I either can do it or I can't. And if I get to it on race day and I'm mentally fatigued or I'm nervous, then my success rate is going to be lower. And so I practice this a lot. I actually put the note daily over here. So every day, once I learned Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, I did it at least once. And it was because I knew it was a short goal that was very impactful. Metroid had a lot of RNG and had just horrible outcomes if you died or soft locked or got lost. Castlevania, things could go sour very fast. Ninja Gaiden, the last 2 stages, stage 5, stage 6, both very dangerous. You can lose a ton of time. You could be winning the event and then lose to Jackio at the end, and then you're out of the top 5 maybe, unless you're Yogi. And so I would just go through and I just mark which games seemed deadly to me. And then I kind of track them as far as how much do I know about these games? And so I would move things around as I learned them. I didn't really keep up with this. This is just something I did when I started. But this allowed me to set goals for the games. And so if I knew that Zelda 1 is going to be very swingy, maybe I don't need to compare myself to somebody else's gold. Maybe I need to compare myself to my average. And speaking of other people's golds, I would regularly find the times of other people. And so here's Pikachu. He's one of the top NES speedrunners. He has placed right alongside me at every event we've played in. And so I made sure to put his times right next to mine. And so I was constantly seeing okay, where are his scores better than mine? And so I would use conditional formatting and track them. And I would find people that I wanted to compare myself to and see well, how am I doing? So for Ninja Gaiden, I'm probably not going to beat Arceus's time, but if I can beat Pikachu's time, if I could beat SBD Wolf's time, then maybe that's enough for me. And so I find different ways of setting goals. And if you are joining the Big 20 with a bunch of your friends, this is a really fun thing to do. Just make your own personal time tracker and use them as a comparison. If you're not great at all the games and you're still learning them all from the ground up, but you know 2 or 3 of them, compare your times in those 2 or 3 games to other people and make sure that you're doing your best in those games. As far as learning quickly, the single best thing you can do is create save states. And so I'm going to show you every game for the Big 20 has a folder, and it had 10 save states. And so I would make save states for each section in the game. I never started from the beginning unless I was doing a full attempt of that game or doing a full run. Instead, I would just make save states of all of the key moments. So for something like, let's say, so I guess Super Mario Bros. 2 is another good example. For something like Super Mario Bros. 2, I know stage 1. I don't have to really learn anything about stage 1. I've got it down. Stage 4-1, I've got it down. But stage 1-2 could cause me trouble. Stage 6-1 can cause me trouble. Stage 6-2 can cause me trouble. Stage 7-1, stage 7-2. And so I'd have save states of all the places that could save me trouble, and I would ignore the things that I could already do. I would make sure to do full attempts of games from time to time. And when I would do that, I would make a list of all the things that went wrong. And so let's bring this over some so you can see. So here's a list of everything that's gone wrong. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Everything that went wrong while I was practicing. This is just individual games in full attempts. Every time anything went wrong, I just wrote it down. And so sometimes things would be written down more than once. And so like I had trouble with Mario 3 stage 4-6 or 4 through 6. The go left split for Castlevania, that's stage 3. I had trouble with that one. And chat and Streamlabs must close before Tyson. I remember practicing Tyson and someone was typing in chat and I glanced over and then Tyson knocked me out. And so I knew that I needed to close chat. And so I started writing things down that went wrong. And this determined what my save states were going to be. And so that was my like general list. And then I made a second list of things that have gone wrong recently. And so I would clear this list from time to time, do a full run, and just write down everything that went wrong. Whenever I had issues with a particular game, I would write down things to test. So towards the end, the only 2 things I had left to test were Metroid, so getting an extra missile pack, and Zelda 1, that was a south route that was just slightly different. And so writing things down and determining what you need to practice and having save states for them so you don't have to play up to it every time, very good at helping you learn very quickly. It's also somewhat involved with efficient practice. You'll notice that I started writing down all of the different save states I had, all of the different things that I thought were worth practicing. And what I would do is rather than play the full game or do full attempts, is I would pick a selection of games. And so I'd say, okay, today is the first 5 games. Tomorrow's the second 5 games, and then this, and then this, and then this. And I would chunk my practice up. So I wasn't learning Super Mario Bros. 3 and then stopping and having to go back to it after like 2 weeks of not playing it. I would bounce around constantly, so that way I could stay fresh with all the games. And I knew exactly what I needed to practice. Another note about practicing efficiently is that you don't want to do full runs. An entire Big 20 run takes like 3+ hours, and that's a lot of time. If you think about it in terms of like cutscenes and 30-second waits between games, you're wasting a lot of time as you are just going through the motions of doing a full attempt. And while it's important to do them towards the end to just familiarize yourself with the concept and get some full run practice under your belt, especially early on, you want to avoid it. And you even want to avoid doing full game runs. Towards the end, maybe you want to do more full game runs, but for the most part, you really just need to find the things that you want to practice, highlight them, make a save state, and then just practice that. Super Mario Bros. 2 can take over 11 minutes, but if you say, well, I only need to do stage 6-1 on, well, suddenly the game cuts down to just a couple of minutes, and you can practice way more. Race day prep. So I have a race day spreadsheet tab, and so you can see I have a map of Metroid, and these were things that I created during practice as I was figuring out routing. You can see over here, there's the extra missile pack that I actually didn't pick up during the race. I got lucky. And then Punch Out, I had the blind Punch Out strats. And so I would close chat and I would just read this. Here's the code for Mike Tyson's Punch Out. I have a list of like all the things I need to do. So like log into Speedruns Live, bathroom, turn off the phone, close extra windows, check the bed so Luca can climb the stairs. So I have like little puppy stairs like sitting behind the bed. And one time when I was practicing, doing a practice run, Luca walked in and she started whining and my dog couldn't get up on the bed. she was going to keep whining until I fixed the stairs. So I added that to the list. Having strats written out so that we have something to glance at, very helpful. I have a link to a Mega Man 2 password generator. If you end up dying or soft locking or something and passwords are allowed, you can use the password generator. And so if you're doing something like Goodwood, where you get soft locked, you can just reset, put in your password, and you don't lose quite as much time. There are a lot of things like that you might want to have on hand. There have been several races where someone is doing well and then something unexpected happens. There will always be a disaster for somebody every Big 20. The last Big 20, Big 20 number 13, tons of people died in Tetris, and they weren't used to dying in Tetris. They just happened to on race day. I had done a safety. I had practiced on speed 10 and I brought it down to 8, so it reduced my chances of dying. Cool Kid, like normally was way faster than everybody in Metroid doing Kraid first, ended up accidentally soft locking. In past events, Indy versus Yogi, like Indy was ahead and he ended up misclicking in Shadowgate, and he didn't have a backup plan. He didn't have a GameFAQs link for Shadowgate up, and he didn't know the rest of the game, like the normal game. He only knew the speedrun route. And so the fastest thing there to do for him is reset, because he doesn't know the alternative. Whereas it might have been easy for him to find another item somewhere and solve the puzzle that way. Yogi the Monk in one of the Big 20s played Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and he ended up dying in the dam level. And you're one turtle down when this happens, and your health is lower, and he wasn't quite sure what that did. He was like, well, what happens now? What happens if I lose all my turtles? When I was playing Super Mario Brothers 2, I didn't know what happened when you used a continue, because that never happened in practice. I never sat down to figure it out. And so having resources like maps and password generators and links to GameFAQs, and having people in your chat, if you have people watching you, and having them be able to answer questions, and you can just say, hey guys, what happens when you use a continue in Super Mario Brothers 2? That is perfectly legal, it's allowed, and it will help you a lot on the actual race day. So I take this a little bit more methodically, a little bit more seriously than most people. You don't need to like compare to like world record splits. That's what this is. I was comparing my splits to Skunky and figuring out like how much time do I have to save in each split, and this determined where I needed to split. You don't necessarily need to do that, but some of the stuff that I went over can definitely help you improve your time and have just more fun practicing in a Big 20. Because it's one thing to play in a Big 20 and just kind of play casually. It's entirely another thing to push yourself beyond what you're currently able to do, and just seeing like, well, how fast can I actually go? Because if you use visual cues and audio cues and buffers and like you prepare for things, you would be surprised at how much faster you can actually go. 3822 PB.